Linda here, the Scrapbooking Photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today's video is all about celebrating Helen Ding. Helen has reached that milestone of 1,000 subscribers and we all congratulate her today on the celebratory hop. Today is also Helen's day of 30 days of sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. So we're documenting day 30, which is this sketch designed by Helen. And she's asked us to use that as part of the celebratory hop. So the photos I'm using are a little bit different today. This is from a visit to a beach in Auckland where I had a go at some ICM. It's called in-camera movement. So you use a slower shutter speed to get that kind of impressionistic look of whatever you're photographing. And in this particular time it was gannets, so you can see a little bit more of the gannet's head in that one as he heads out to water. In this one I've tried to define his beak a little bit more, but there's still quite a little bit of action in his wings. It's a fun technique to work with because of course the slower the shutter speed, the more light gets let in, so you've got to balance the exposure with the movement. So it's a little bit of a challenge. You can use different filters and things to do it. Anyway, those are the photos that I am documenting today, and I've trimmed them down to a square, panorama and rectangle one as per Helen's sketch, and I've chosen some colours that kind of go with the scenery. Now whilst this was a beach, I thought the sand was quite dark. It's the west coast, so it was pretty black in parts, but there was also some beautiful bush that the birds were flying around. So I've got some old olive and some of this from the celebratory Sips pack with Stampin' Up, and I thought that actually looked quite good, so I'll probably bring some of that in somehow. And I've brought a tiny little piece of this colour in just because it sort of highlights the colour of the head, so hopefully that will come out somewhere. And I'm using a piece of vellum. Now the background piece, I'm not using white willow, I'm going to use this pecan pie. And then Helen has a strip at the top and a strip at the bottom. So what I thought I would do is put this in like that to give us that strip at the top, and then I'll tear the bottom to get the strip at the bottom. And then I'm going to tone it down with a piece of vellum. So let's get started. So we've got about 1/2 inch up the top there, and I want about the same down here. So I'm going to just tear randomly the bottom piece of this paper. This is actually from the Adventurous Skies pack. And I quite like the way that you get the white core. I'll keep that because that might be useful in something else. But you get the white core showing through. I'll just make sure that's enough. I think it will be. Okay, and then the vellum, I don't want it to go the whole way, so I'm going to cut about that much off. So about 1 inch off. Right, now to help that blend into that background, I just want to go around the outside with some Night of Navy, which is the darker colour coming through in this blue piece. I think this is supposed to be clouds and different things to go with the Adventurous Skies pack, but I quite like the way it looks with the water type idea behind it. Now this might be a little bit tricky to do in my usual fashion, but I'll have a go. Just using the ink pad to go around the outside. Being careful not to get any on your hands or on the middle piece of the paper. And I think the vellum adds a nice kind of opaque touch just to tone down that paper a little bit before we put the photos on top. So I'll just whiz around here. Okay, so you can see that that gives it a little bit of an outline on that busy paper behind it. Now the way I arrange these photos might be a little different to the sketch. Because these birds are flying in this way, I really want them on the left hand side of the page. So I'm going to try and work that in there. I could overlap like that, I suppose. Might just cut a little bit more off this photo, make it a little bit smaller. That makes it a bit easier to overlap it like that. Now the only thing is, when I bring in these papers, I quite like the green over this side, even though the papers that Helen has are over here if you reverse the sketch. So let's say we go, these obviously aren't the right size, it's just giving me an idea of the colours. And then some pecan pie, which matches the background. And then I've got this little extra piece to bring in, just to go with the beak. It needs a third piece in here. So I might bring that one in there, the pecan pie, and then this one that kind of matches that as well. I might just chop a little bit off this so that I get an even distance on the outside, and then make these three different lengths too, so we end up with 3 different length pieces of cardstock. Bring that one in there, that's good. Then we'll bring in this pecan pie, which is a little bit shorter again, and then the plain olive, just to line up so that we get some even distance, like so. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to stick that down, and I'm just putting these together before I sort of working my way back with the sticking, so that everything stays pretty much where I want it. And this was the important one, to get that even there. Now with the vellum, you don't want the sticky to shine through, so I have kind of put these photos together, which will go there. So that gives me an idea of where I can put the adhesive. So put it over here where that big square photo is going. This bit's fine behind the strips. And then we'll pop that. We need the same kind of distance on both sides and roughly at the top as well. Right. And then we will stick this to the big piece on the back. Now I did sort of put the photos together before I took them away, but they moved, so I'll just line them up again. You can see the little bit of sticky there where I had it on the back of here. So we'll just bring that in where we want it. And then this one down the bottom. Right, so then we've just got the title, a little bit of embellishing and some journaling. So for some embellishing, I'm going to use the wild ferns, and in the pack of ferns we've got some nice big fronds which I can put on here. So I'll put a couple together, make a little cluster of ferns just down the bottom there. we've got 4 little ferns that we can just pop into these little gaps here. Now I think I might put one up on the side there, and then 3 little ones. I love this set of ferns, as they do look very similar to what we find in the New Zealand bush. So they work well on a lot of pages. Just over the side there. I won't do too much embellishing. I don't really go for too much embellishing because I like the photos to take centre stage, and I thought I might just do another title down here, perhaps in the pecan pie. So I'll just get those letters sorted. Come into my pack of dies. I think this alphabet's probably the best one. I think these ones might be too big. Let's have a look. Maybe not. These are a little bit more elegant, so we might actually use them, I think. So we'll get the letters we need for Murawai, M-U-R-I. The great thing about this set is that it has 2 of some of them, so because I'm going to need 2 eyes, it has 2 eyes, which is great. It means I can cut them all out at once. Right, so I'll run them through my little mini machine. So I'll cut these letters out, and they would fit quite nicely in the length there, but I feel like you lose some of them because they're so thin. You lose some when they go onto the busier paper. So I think I'm going to put them up here, but I might need just a little bit more space. So I'm going to very carefully move this photo so that it still gets an edge of the even size around that side, but just less of an edge. And that gives me just a little bit more room here, which I think will make all the difference. Right, I think that's better. So I'll stick those down and then do my journaling here. Right, now I've just got a couple of little gems, or actually they're little sequins that I'll pop on here. And that will be my page for day 30 of the 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, and also celebrating Helen Ding's 1000 subbies. So I do hope you have time to look at the other videos in the playlist. It will be listed below with everybody's who is playing along, and I'm sure there will be some great inspiration for anybody wanting to use this sketch. And there we are. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching that come together. I just love those colours. Really happy with the way that turned out. So thanks for an awesome sketch, Helen. Congratulations again, and happy crafting, everyone.